Thank you. Thank you so much for joining the live podcast by Jason. And the name of my podcast is Brand Identity Design. This is a business podcast, and I'm your host. We are currently doing a series, and I've been doing this for the past few seasons. It's called as The Dark Side of Entrepreneurship. And the aim of my show is to educate entrepreneurs about business, share ideas, recommend strategies on how to deal with adversities while running a business. Now, I do this by interviewing high level business executives like the person whom you see next to me, Nicole, high professional business executives who are not only willing to share their personal but also their professional experience with my listeners. Now, our podcast is actually heard in over 23 countries currently, and it also currently ranks on Spotify at the top 30 of the most followed business podcast globally. And I also can assure you that this is not just going to be just another boring business talk show. We will be injecting a healthy dose of humor, personality to the mix, and you will be learning a lot more about entrepreneurship. So sit back, relax, get ready to laugh and learn with me and Nicole in this fantastic show, which we are broadcasting or simulcasting, whatever you want to call this, on YouTube, LinkedIn, and LinkedIn audio. I also want to make a few announcements. Our magazine is the exclusive magazine, the idea, which I'm trying to execute in the month of April or May. Most likely that's going to be my first issue. So this is going to be a very, very unique magazine because it's targeted towards podcasts, entrepreneurs who are also podcast listeners. And primarily the magazine is going to emphasize and highlight a lot of my guests who has been on my show. Second announcement which I want to make is that season 3 will end on March 1st, 2023. I have a lineup of a few other guests who will be you would be catching up with in the next coming few weeks. And season 4 is going to begin tentatively either the end of April or the first week of May. I'm still trying to work around what would be a good date to begin. Another thing which I also want to highlight you guys that my show will be completing 1 year anniversary on January 22nd, 2023. It's been a rock solid year. In terms of growth, I never expected this is going to go this far. I just started experimenting podcasts just for the sake of it, just to try, if it's going to be cool. It turned out to be amazing. I'm getting sponsorships, getting good deals. My name is out there, getting a lot of listeners, getting a lot of credible guests, such as Nicole and many others who joined. So it has been rock solid. So I'm very, very happy. I'm very blessed to have been able to do this. So I don't want to take too much of your time just explaining who I am, what I do, stuff like that. So, okay, let's actually get into the topic because I'm sure many of you joined are just here because you want to understand and know about what is founders fatigue. So today we're going to be speaking about managing founders fatigue, get a know-how of what exactly this is, and reclaiming your entrepreneurial spark in the year 2023. And this year has to be a bang for each and everybody, not only for me but also my listeners, but whoever else is going to be listening to our show. So on this episode, Nicole, she's a marketing strategist. She's very well versed with this topic, and she's going to help you identify and address like what entrepreneurs feel, like exhaustion, anxiety, burnout, overwhelm. So she's going to suggest us tips, how to regain motivation, how to avoid burnout, how to have that balance and focus which you require in business. So let me tell you who Nicole is and how she qualified to give us advice on this. So she's an entrepreneur. She's also the founder and CEO of a lovely company. I really love this name. It's called Mavyn. Okay, like that nurturing bird-like feeling, that's the name of the company. Super cool. So she runs a marketing consultancy specifically helping women business owners and entrepreneurs succeed. And prior to launching Mavyn, Nicole worked in tech companies, advertising, publishing industries, and she also obtained her MA in graphic communication management and technology from NYU. as a Latina, and I love Latinas because you're some of the hardworking women I have met on my show. So, as a Latina, Nicole is passionate about women's empowerment, advocate for diversity and inclusion, which I'm a big fan of. And in her space, in her free time, she likes writing, drawing, practicing yoga, and spending time with her husband and her dog Bia, which I would be asking a little more questions on who Bia is, what she like, and in addition to her professional pursuits, Nicole actively involved in various leadership committees, non-profit advisory boards, and she's also a mentor for students and alumni. And she's also kind of helping me to structure my magazine, which I love her for, her support, and she's super super cool. So please welcome Nicole to my podcast. I know we are virtual, but guys, make some noise because we have Nicole here. So thank you so much, Nicole. I hope. How has your day been so far? I hope you're excited to be here.
Jason, wow, that was such a great introduction. I am thrilled to be here. It's super exciting. I've been looking forward to this, and we're finally making it happen. And whoever is here with us on the live stream, thank you for being here and taking a little time out of your day, whether you can stay for the whole thing or just for a few minutes. I appreciate you, and thank you for being here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Isn't that wonderful, guys? Give us a thumbs up if you like what you're hearing, and give us a thumbs up just to confirm if the audio quality is superb or no. I think it sounds amazing. So, anyways, let's actually get into this conversation. So, the thing is, Nicole, like, I always want to know the person, who is behind the microphone. And that's why I call my magazine The Microphone. Like, so many entrepreneurs, as you know, including you, me, we all have like a clear vision and a plan, for starting our own business. But sometimes some people become accidentally entrepreneurs. I became an accidental designer. I never ever intended to get into this game. Completely new. Okay, but I'm savage, I'm killing it. So, how did you find yourself, on this road and on this amazing road of entrepreneurship? Was it conscious? Did fate had a role in this? And in retrospect, have you? Has there been any unexpected turns in your journey which shaped the direction and success of your business? If you get what my question is.
Yeah, I mean, all right, so let me take it a little bit at a time. It's probably a little bit of all of the above. I've always been one of those people who kind of made my own path. And if there wasn't a way to do something, I'd figure it out or create one. Um, and then when one of my first jobs was at a new media nonprofit, and there is where I was really exposed to startup life. It was during the first tech boom in the late 90s, and I was, on the ground floor for hearing investor pitches. Um, I was running a program, and there was a lot of latitude there for me to learn and do and have impact. And that early experience really shaped the way forward. So even when I went back in-house on the corporate side, that experience of being able to sort of chart my own course and create and realize a vision stuck with me, as well as the startup energy, which I really love. I love that sort of just huge vision that founders have, and building something from the ground up. It's so rewarding that I guess I couldn't stay away. And I guess I felt a little bit limited in corporate life after having had that experience where I was able to take on and do a lot more. So, in that sense, there was some intentionality behind it. But when I first started, I always thought that maybe I would eventually go back in house. And it's been, I want to say, let's see, since about 2007. So I'm going on something like 13 or 14 years or more that I've been working for myself. Mavyn is actually my second business. There's a whole bunch of businesses I had ideas for that never even, that I ended up not even executing. So yeah, I guess you could say that there's just this little entrepreneurial spirit in me that's always been there.
Now that is lovely. That is incredible, actually. So the thing is, like, I feel that, most entrepreneurs keep experimenting, okay, one after another, and
Yeah.
eventually you find that sweet spot. It's not necessary that your first venture or your second venture has to be a success. That's what I feel. So, did it did it affect you emotionally when you put all your heart in with the first venture or the second one? I'm just asking. And did it affect you mentally, while you were transitioning or thinking about, do I have the manpower and the energy to
Mm-hmm.
actually, build up something else, because it's a lot of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nitty gritties, name, I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think the business that most emotionally affected me in a sort of difficult way was the one that I didn't do. Interestingly enough, so I had this idea for a business while I was still in grad school, and I got really far into it. It had a business plan. I had all my vendors lined up. You know, I had a lot of thinking behind it and preparation. And I got to a point where I realized that some aspects of it weren't going to work for me. I don't know how else to say it. Like it just there were two different I was sort of at a crossroads, and there were two different ways I could go. There was the way of this really planned business that I had thought about, and then there was the actual business that I was doing that was taking off, which was a one woman creative shop, and I was getting clients and it was growing organically. So I made a choice to set aside the business I had planned for and pursue the one that was actually happening. um, so yeah, that kind of impacted me a lot because every now and then I think to myself, well, what if I had done X, Y, or Z, or if I had only you know done such and such, maybe that business would have worked out in such and such a way. So there's a lot of sort of second guessing that happened. Uh, but pretty quickly, I just realized that I was going in the direction I was meant to be going in, and that nothing is forever. You can always change or adapt or adjust or iterate on what you're doing, and maybe that business didn't happen because it just really wasn't right for me at the time.
I hear what you're trying to say. Yes, I agree. And sometimes, the stuff which you don't want to lean on, maybe that might be the best thing, which out there. Like gradually, as I'm progressing ahead with my career, I don't know. I love this whole speaking thing, which I'm doing side by side. So I mean, as much as I love design and what it does, professionally, but I also enjoy this whole thing, which I have. It took time for me to build up that confidence. Like if you hear some of my old stuff and old material, Nicole, you will purely laugh at me, like blah, 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 blah. That's how I used to sound, like scary. But anyways, let's actually get into the conversation again. So I want to actually speak about society, and I want to hear your perspective on this. So my second question would be, how does society's expectation of constant productivity from entrepreneurs like you and me and many others listening to this show and the success contribute towards founders fatigue and burnout? Tell me, what is your professional opinion on this?
I think that's a great question. It's really sort of insidious. I think people don't even realize how it influences them and how they're looking at themselves and their business. Whatever level of founder you are, whatever type of startup you have, there is this insane amount of pressure to always be, producing. Oh, and any downtime or non-work time is somehow often discounted or viewed as not having value because it's not directly contributing to the bottom line of your business. And to me, that's a complete fallacy. because at the end of the day, especially if you're a solopreneur, and you're doing it on your own, your health and well-being, the more energized and nourished and nurtured you are, the better you're going to be able to be in your business. So, hustling and grinding, that all sounds great on paper and it's kind of fun to say and, maybe visit that mentality, but I don't think it's a fun place to stay over the long term of your business.
Absolutely. I'm so sorry. I was, toggling with my cell phone, just trying to navigate. Okay. So, yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing it, and it makes a lot of sense. I'm with you. And I feel that, this pressure, which society puts, actually, this pressure only exists, if you allow it to affect you. So, now, if you decide like for yourself, and correct me, if I'm wrong or no, according to you, Nicole, I feel it's a journey. It's like an adventure. Entrepreneurship is like an adventure. You sort one problem after another, and I think the goal should be to enjoy it as an adventure and not really take that load. I don't know what is your thought like. Do you think entrepreneurship is like an adventure?
I do think it's like an adventure. I mean, I also think that, there's two sides of every coin, right? So on the flip side, I understand why people feel so much pressure, especially if you're sort of going all in on your startup. You only have a certain amount of runway, whether that's cash, resources, whatever, to make it work. And however that's defined, whether that's be revenue generating or to get investors or what have you. So there is a real constraint there, right? That you're working against. But I think as we're only human and we have to balance that with being people, with having families and with caring for ourselves. And that's not to suggest it's easy, because it's not. It's not easy. Like I remember when I did my first business, I was working 7 days a week. Um, and I did a lot of unhealthy stuff in order to keep that business going. And I promised myself I wouldn't do those things this time around, because I saw the effect that it had on me and the people around me. Um, and at a certain point, my husband even turned to me and he's like, when you're not, either you're working or you're talking about work or you're thinking about work, and I never see you anymore. And that made a big impact on me. Um, so, I'm sure other people experience it too. And again, it's not easy. It actually is something you have to step back and think about. Um,
Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing it. I also wanted to acknowledge a good close friend. His name is Wade, who is saying hi to you from LinkedIn.
Hi,
Wade, we
Wade.
had like a small, I actually messed it up, and we had to like create a new event link. So I've sent you a message on just highlighting the new link. It's on actually on the old event page. If you do get the opportunity, please join. I also want to say thanks to Divakar, Viral, and Erin, who is watching us, who is actually hearing us on LinkedIn. So thank you so much, guys, for your love and support. Stay tuned because the questions are going to get even more interesting as we proceed. So now, next question to you, question number 3, Nicole. How can we shift as entrepreneurs? How can we shift our focus from achieving external validation to finding internal fulfillment and satisfaction in your work as an entrepreneur? I know you touched based on a few components, but that external validation piece is something which is like a societal pressure. So I wanted to hear your thoughts as to what you feel about this.
I think again, it's about sort of separating your own identity and your own happiness from how the business is doing. So that's one thing. Because they're going to be external metrics that your business is going to be evaluated on, right? If you're looking for investors or if you're looking for funding, or you know, making changes to serve your market. Whatever the metrics are, those are definitely external. So for us to sort of keep our sanity as founders, one thing that I think is really important is celebrating those sort of micro moments in each day when you're making gains or progress. You know, a lot of people refer to it as celebrating the wins, and maybe they do that on a weekly or monthly basis. I actually like to take a pause during the day and say, okay, to just acknowledge the progress I've been making that day. And sometimes the progress is showing up. Um, I think back to when I used to be a runner and I would run a lot. And there were some training days for when it felt like I was just slogging. I was just like putting in the miles for the sake of showing up for that training day, because you're not going to be doing your personal best necessarily every day. You can aim for it. Sure, that's great. But you don't have to beat yourself up when it doesn't happen. Um, just show up. Maybe you can do the whole to-do list, do the one thing on the to-do list that's the highest priority. So in that way, you can really start to make space for yourself separate from how the business is performing.
That makes a lot of sense. So, these micro moments which you are referring to, Nicole, I'm just trying to process, like, so as an entrepreneur, you run a business. Okay, you may have a certain level of success. So sometimes, don't businesses celebrate anyways? So how is it different? Like, milestones, I think, which people call it as. So how,
Yeah,
yeah, what is this like? When you say micro moments, can you maybe break it down for people so that they can understand what you're trying to say?
I think that's a good point. Yes, businesses do tend to celebrate milestones, but a lot of times the ones they're celebrating are ones that are what I refer to as hard KPIs, like hard performance metrics. So, sales volume or customer acquisition. And so that's really looking at the end product, but it's not looking at all the work that leads up to the end product. And if we don't recognize or acknowledge all the work we're doing to lead up to that end product, so for example, you may have had 100 or 500 client meetings that you booked before you even landed that final client, but yet you're only going to celebrate landing the big account. To me, you can also celebrate that you got that many you got that many meetings in the pipeline. You know, you got that many potential clients. They're not all going to close. That's part of the reality of business. And I think people with a sales or business development background do really well sometimes in this regard, because they're used to the expectation that not every interaction equals a sale, or a hard quantifiable metric. So I guess I'm looking at what's the qualitative experience as well as the quantifiable metrics. Um, does that help at all?
Absolutely. In fact, you bring a very excellent point, because yes, everyone is focused on the bigger picture, the bigger things, which you achieve as a business. But the small things also add up. So, see, when you started up, okay, tell me, okay, Nicole, when you started, okay, your first, agency or whatever you started as a business, okay, when you got your first order, wasn't that exciting? Don't you feel that you're in the moon, amazed?
I think one of the most exciting ones for me was actually one that I didn't get, because I was pitching a big piece of business
Interesting.
that was super. I was more proud. Like, yeah, I had all the clients I got, but they were sort of at a level where I almost semi expected to get them. So, in other words, the odds were really good that I was going to get those clients because it was a good match. It wasn't a far reach. So I was actually more impressed with myself, if I could say that, when I went after something that I knew was a reach. I knew it was hard, and I knew that the likelihood of success was a little bit less. And not only did it go well, but it didn't close. But the reason it didn't close wasn't because of anything I did. So for me, even though that didn't, like, and that's a perfect example, that didn't end up in a job with a dollar amount, but it ended up with an experience that I took a lot away from in terms of learning and realizing that it, there really are things that we can't control. And we can only control what's in our realm. We can't account for other reasons why things may fall through. That doesn't mean that we should be any less proud of that accomplishment of having done those steps.
I agree with you 100%. So, I mean, in a nutshell, you were celebrating, even though it appeared like a failure, but you were
Yeah.
celebrating because it was a big win, because you learned something which you can apply for the rest of your life,
Mhm.
or your business, or keep evolving. So, that's super cool. Kudos to you on that, Nicole.
Thank you. Ah.
All right, so let's actually move on to my next question. Okay, now this is about the grinding and the hustle culture which you spoke about, and I want to just get into it now. So entrepreneurship. So the concept of grinding and hustle in entrepreneurship has like traditionally been associated with like long working hours, sacrificing personal well-being. You always want to strive more. The competition is to your neck. Okay, but this constant drive for productivity and success leads to a burnout, exhaustion, and anxiety. Now the thing is that if you ask another entrepreneur, if you watch these videos which are on YouTube, they send you a message, but I think people misunderstand that message, because it doesn't mean that you rub yourself on the floor in the whole process. So I want you to see. So the question which I'm trying to come to is that how can we redefine the concept of grinding and hustle, and also prioritize self-care and well-being in your entrepreneurial journey, because I want to actually hear your perspective before I comment on this.
This is such a complicated question in a way. There's a lot of people out there sort of just being like, oh, just only do 20 hours, only do 30 hours, or use this method or technique. Um, I think it's not an either or necessarily proposition. I think you do definitely have to prioritize the self care. But again, it's cumulative, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't also put in a certain amount of work and that there isn't a certain amount of sacrifice. It's finding the balance. And that balance is going to be a little bit different for everyone. There are some people who, we all know them, who really thrive on that constant grind. And there are other people who don't thrive on that constant grind. So the trick is figuring out what zone do you thrive in and how to set up your business to support that. And there's lots of different ways to do it. In some ways, I wouldn't say it's easy. It's easier in some ways to do it than ever before. There's a lot of things that can be automated. There's a lot of different resources and ways you can get support to not necessarily to be able to work smarter and not harder. Um, and then if you thrive in that hustle and grind zone, I mean, more power to you. I don't want to take anything away from that. And even if you are setting up your business to have this sort of different pace, there probably will still be times when, at least short bursts of times, when you may need to hustle and grind. But you don't need to let that define the whole way you approach and work in your business.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? We spoke about this before also. So, like, something which you said to me was that, rather than measuring things by external validation, you should measure success by the progress and the impact you're making as an entrepreneur, because that's way more powerful in comparison to seeking others to say, like, oh, you're doing good work. Look at the amount of transformation you were able to create as a business owner.
Yeah.
Whose life were you able to touch because of your experience and skill set. You have to be proud about all these things. And I see my good friend Leslie, who is there in the audience on LinkedIn. So hi Leslie, you're welcome to come up if you like. I want you to meet Nicole. She's really cool. And I like a lot of things which you said. You have to have like a growth mindset, and you also need to take time out regularly to do self-care. And I constantly work. See, the thing about designers, and you're also in the design profession, we are hooked on to our computers. Like I can't remember or imagine a day without sitting in front of my computer. I don't even play games. I'm just saying, like, how do you handle it? Like, do you take a
Oh,
break?
me?
Yeah.
I can't. It's. I have to take a break from the screen. Like I take a walk with the dog and just and sometimes stepping away. I guess I don't know what kind of backgrounds people are coming from in the audience, but coming from a creative background, a lot of times if you get stuck on a design problem, it's one of the best things you can do is step away from the problem
I
and
totally
just
agree. I am with you.
right,
Like,
like
high five. Yeah, I
just
agree.
yeah, just sort of give your mind some air. And I find the same thing with business problems. If I bang away at it too much and am too obsessively focused on it, I, you just end up sort of hitting a wall. You have to give your brain a breather. And some of those other things in your surroundings, at least for me, the natural environment is really stimulating. So, I'll be taking a walk with the dog, and all of a sudden, like 10 ideas will come in that I was like, oh, there it is. That's the piece I was looking for. That's the piece of the puzzle that's going to help solve this one. Or your mind just sort of opens up to the what ifs, right? Like the possibilities, like, oh, I've been going at this problem in only this one way, but I don't, who says I have to do it this way? What if we do X, Y, and Z? And all of a sudden, your whole perspective can shift. So, yeah, definitely taking a break from the screen can be good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I play with my cat. Uh, and then you've seen him. So that's what I do. I play with my cat. We play a little hide and seek. And sometimes I go maybe cook a little chicken. Sometimes. He likes the dry food, but
Mhm.
you get what I'm trying to say. And and
Yeah.
and and definitely have you, I don't know if you have tried this, but sometimes when I'm trying to create a logo or like a
Mhm.
visual element, okay, sometimes kaboom, like you're like out of ideas. Like I have, I don't know, I have this concept, but I think this concept looks similar to somebody's else concept which is out there,
Mhm.
and you have that blockage. So then what I start doing is that I start writing stuff or designing stuff using my other hand. So
Yeah.
so
That'll It
go.
stimulates another part of the brain. That's a good trick. It's
Yeah.
true. That's a good
Or
one.
yeah, or else you're always in front of your computer. Maybe use the mouse at a different
Yeah.
hand. Maybe
Yeah.
that works. Or maybe instead of left clicks, you can do right clicks. I'm just saying simple tricks, which you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you get the idea. So I want to welcome
Mhm.
Leslie. Leslie, you should meet Nicole. She's an awesome person. Do send her a connection request. Leslie, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Jason. And thank you, Nicole, for taking the time out to be a guest on
I,
Jason's show. So
Okay,
I
okay.
just,
So I think she's
I
not
came
able to
in a
hear
little
you.
bit
Am
too
I right?
close.
okay.
Can you
I
hear?
can't hear
Can
you
you,
guys. Sorry.
Okay. So
oh,
Nicole,
you're muted.
yeah, Nicole, is it possible maybe you can get your phone?
Nicole isn't. Oh, my phone? Yes. Can you
Yeah.
give me 1 second and I'll
Yes.
grab it? Hang
Yeah.
on. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so how are you, Leslie?
Hey, I'm doing well. This is really very apropos listening to Nicole, because I just came into the conversation where she was saying how, basically multitasking, trying to balance everything.
You're breaking up.
And that is really God is testing me, because oh, can you hear me now? I don't know if you could hear me
Yeah,
now.
Nicole, you have to unmute on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm kind of confusing her.
Oh no.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes. Go ahead. I'm
Oh,
so sorry, Leslie.
excellent.
I think Rishni has a little issue wherein it's not allowing people to hear when we do like a Y jack using an interface for some reason. So anyway, go ahead. Now Nicole is on LinkedIn. Maybe she should be able to hear you. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, Nicole. Well, first of all, my husband's a Jersey boy from Union County. I'm a Long Island girl, but live near Philadelphia, so it's great to connect with someone that's not that far away. I see you're in New Jersey, and I just hopped on when you were talking about, just wearing a lot of hats, balancing, managing. I come from a marketing background,
Mm-hmm.
development for many years, and do a lot of public speaking now, getting board certifications over the last 5-6 years in functional nutrition. I think the key is really trying to create that balance. I lost my mom in October, and I'm juggling estate planners and attorneys, and it's just a lot going, having to buy my brother out of a shore house in Cape May. I'm sure you know where that is,
Yeah.
and juggling my business and still having one of 3 boys at home wearing different hats. And it's tough, but it really tests one to really, put the pedal to the metal when you need to. So
Yeah. Leslie, you have a ton on your plate. Thank you so much. First of all, I love hearing from someone else in Jersey or from Jersey nearby. And I'm so sorry about your mom. You do have a lot on your plate. And I think, I don't know about you, but I find that the only way to get through it when there's that much going on is to give ourselves some space, like a little bit of grace. Like everything is happening at the same time, at the same speed, to the same degree. It ebbs and flows. So maybe temporarily something is going to take a little bit of a backseat so that something else can be prioritized, but that it's not going to be forever. So like maybe it's the short sale of the house that has a timeline, right? So eventually it's going to be over and you're going to be able to refocus that attention back into your boys or, back into your, the functional nutrition degree. But it's definitely challenging. I think a lot of the content that's out there neglects to tell people that, life is still happening, you know? So, yeah, I definitely get it.
yeah, absolutely. And now my goal is for 23. It's going to be a Leslie year, focusing on that time that I spent with my mother, to doctor's appointments, whatnot. There's always the one chosen one of the siblings that have to take care of that. So at the same time, I was trying to really grow my business online. But now I'm creating my business plan and strategizing now my marketing for my podcasts. And it's empowering because now I'm really taking time for that and taking time out just to take a
Leslie?
deep breath. Yeah. Can you hear me? Sorry. Oh, can you hear me now?
Got you. You dropped out for a minute.
Okay. So no, I definitely
Yes,
resonate
I
with
can hear
what
you.
you're saying. Yeah, I resonate with what you're saying, and just getting time for me, downtime, and also just empowering myself, getting my business plan together and my marketing strategies for 23, and taking a deep breath. And that's important.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you're doing that sort of intentional decision, because that always helps. Because otherwise we're like, hey, what happened to this sort of vague thing that I was planning to do?
Yeah.
What happened to prioritizing myself? All of a sudden, all the time gets eaten up in other stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I love this idea of making 2023 the year of you and sort of reclaiming yourself, you know?
Hoping and praying that's what it's going to be, and hopefully no more curveballs come my way when it comes to losing someone very close. So but I got through it, and it just made me even stronger, and just more focused on myself and what my passion is, and what my purpose is here in life. and it's my voice to get out there and for people to hear me and to empower others. So, and through the power of social media, I met Jason on Clubhouse, and it's really great to meet you. So thanks.
It's great to meet you too. Thank you so much for sharing. I really, it means a lot.
Lovely, lovely. So let's go back on YouTube. So yeah, so what I was trying to say is that, thank you so much, Leslie. I appreciate, you having this conversation with Nicole. Nicole, you don't have to be on the phone. You can be on the video. Are you there? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Yeah.
I can hear you,
Yeah.
Jason, but
Yeah,
not
yeah, I
Nicole.
know. I'm just.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, excellent.
Okay,
Gotta
so
hide my phone. These little technical glitches. So crazy. Okay, but we're doing it, right? That's
Yeah.
the thing. What is it? Adapt and overcome?
All right, so this is like a live example of, founder fatigue or whatever. It's happening right
Yeah,
as we speak.
we just have a laugh, take a breath, and we're going to get through it, and we'll do it together.
Awesome. Okay, so my next question to you, Nicole, is that how can entrepreneurs use failure as a learning opportunity and not let it dim their entrepreneurial spark? Okay, and I want to I want to really understand, like, because we have been planning this whole show for almost a week or maybe beyond a week. Okay, and then things goes crashing down. Okay, although we can keep our spirits up. Okay, so I think the phone is still buzzing.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me
Yeah.
put it in the other room.
Yeah. Yeah, so guys, I hope you get my question right. Because we plan, we prepare for so many things, and things come crashing down. How do you handle all of that stuff? So it's crucial that we figure out a way how to keep sanity and keep our minds sane. How would you handle it? So did you get my question, or you want me to ask you that again,
Yeah.
Nicole?
No, I totally got the question.
Awesome.
And I think we were talking about it a little bit before. Uh, I almost feel like going in with, I don't want to say expect, I'm not a big fan of this idea of failure. To me, part of being an entrepreneur is sort of staying curious and being open to learning. So when you get yeses or affirmations, that's sort of just giving you what you already know or putting out there. But it's really in those no's or not quite yet, or how about this instead, where the insights and the learning kind of happens, even if it can be a little bit painful or sting a little bit. And I think if you go into it, whatever you're doing, knowing that, like, hey, this is the first try, or there's going to be some hiccups. This is the real world. The idea that everything goes 100% smoothly is it's a nice idea, but I've never seen it happen. Whether it's a business launch or a website launch, you know. Um, and again, I think this is where biz dev and salespeople have a little bit of a leg up, because they're used to the idea that it takes a certain number of no's to get to yes. So similarly, whatever we're doing, it takes a certain, it takes a certain amount of missteps to get it where you want it to be, and that's okay. That's part of the process. And the beauty of it is that there's a lot of resources out there. The more support and help that you bring in around you, you can minimize a lot of those missteps. but they're still going to happen. That's just sort of natural, you know. Does that help answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm with you. And I agree with you 100%. I appreciate you sharing it. There's nothing called as failure. Everything is a learning opportunity. Consider your life to be like a very big adventure. And you're sailing on these uncharted territories, trying to figure out new land, new place to occupy, whatever. Just,
Well, I liked what Leslie was saying, actually. She made a comment about how a lot of the challenges or the curveballs have made her stronger. She's coming out of it stronger than before. So, they may not always feel great while they're happening. And you can, this isn't to say like, I don't want to have like this toxic positivity. You're going to get disappointed if you put a lot of effort into something, it doesn't go well, or of course, it's going to be painful and there might be a setback when you suffer a loss. And that's natural and appropriate. But you can bounce back. I think, in fact, if you sort of tell yourself, hey, I'm going to get through this. This is a hard time, but we're going to get through this and move on to what's next. And I'm going to take what I learned here and put it into my next new thing. And, that's all we can do. Right. And sometimes those so-called failures are telling you something. They may be telling you that you don't have the right product market fit, or you needed to do more preparation for your go-to-market, or you need to pivot in terms of your business plan. So those things can be instructive. They're not just there to beat you up.
absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that. Let's actually move on. Let me see if I have another question for you. Yes, I do have another question. Okay, so in this world where the pressure to be perfect, okay, and this is about perfectionism, okay, the pressure to be perfect is ever present. How can entrepreneurs navigate like a fine line between striving for excellence and succumbing to a trap of perfectionism in order to achieve harmonious balance in work as well as professional life or personal lives, actually? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I used to work with this entrepreneur. He was a wonderful entrepreneur, very experienced. And one of his favorite sayings was progress, not perfection. He was also a fan of the expression "go ugly early." Uh, so um, it it is a balancing act. I think it can be helpful when you're able to identify the ideal, like the levels of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people like to talk about minimum MVP, minimal viable product.
Yes.
Um, there's a woman, I think her name is Rachel Lambert, I'm not sure, but I once heard her talking about MMVP, minimal marketable viable product.
That's
And I'm
interesting.
sort of a fan. Yeah, I'm sort of a fan of that concept. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So MVP can be great if you're just trying to get it out there and get that first prototype done. Making sure it has meets a minimal marketability threshold is probably the next tier when when you really want the commercial adoption of it, and you want to have something strong out in the market. And then, maybe you have an ideal plane, right? And at any given time, what you're doing can fall in between, on those tiers or on that scale. But you're not going to get anywhere if you're looking for perfection every time. Well, I shouldn't say it that way, but it may hold you back if you're looking or expecting perfection every time, because it won't allow for the happy accidents. There are some times when you're doing things to adapt or doing workarounds for whatever reason that you have these sort of happy accidents or discoveries that don't usually happen when you're looking for perfection. So that's, I get that perfectionistic tendency, especially for creatives. We always want our work, you even see it in job descriptions to be pixel perfect. You want to have, every single thing has to be, perform on every level and break every, be award winning. And it's like, but sometimes you just got to get the work done. So yeah, that's sort of my
No,
read on it.
you are absolutely right, because sometimes you just have to begin and just start and just do the work and not really care as to how things shape up. Okay, now to give you an example of today's thing, okay, now the whole event which I was promoting for a week, the audio one, I pressed just the wrong button. I wish LinkedIn had like option just to give me a pop up. Are you sure you want to do this? But it did not. And see, I can whine about it. We both can cry about it that the efforts went waste, or we can be thankful that remember, if something happens tomorrow, you can't press exit or end. That's the learning opportunity. You get what I'm trying to say, right? And be careful, and still we are still doing the event, right? That the upside is that that didn't break you. Okay, you can be a perfectionist, you can have that perfectionist quality, and you should be like, no, let's reschedule, let's do this show after a week again. Okay, but that's not gonna work. Sometimes you just have to do. But I feel even after having those issues, we're having such an awesome conversation because I'm learning quite a lot. What do you think?
I think this is great. I love it. I love hearing your experience. I love talking with Leslie. I hope more people toss some questions in at us. Yeah, I totally agree. I think I was thinking of so when I first launched Mavyn, I intentionally did 3 different sort of models of services to test them. And I knew that some would work better than others. That was the goal, to see which ones work better than others. And if the more you can sort of bring that attitude to what you're doing, I think it helps with the resilience and helps you bounce back a little bit better, right? It's like, okay, this didn't work out. I'm going to try something different. Or why didn't this work out? Is it something that I can tweak and make workable for next time? You just sort of almost retrain your mind to sort of just ask yourself the questions, as opposed to shutting down entirely, like, this didn't work, it's over. Like, why? Who says? Just try something else. It's the beauty of life. It's not almost there's almost nothing that's irreparable.
Absolutely, I'm with you. So time to we are already at the 60-minute mark. So let me actually give a shout out to my sponsor. His name is Jose Ucar, a good friend, and he has this nice course about communication. So I'm just gonna play that audio. Nicole, you may not be able to hear it, but others would. But on the recording, it's gonna be recorded. Okay.
Fast track your success by becoming a world-class communicator. My name is Jose Ucar. I'm a communication and public speaking coach and the founder of the World Class Communicator program. If you pay close attention to the best communicators and most influential leaders out there, you will notice that they all have 3 things in common: a winning mindset, communication one-to-one skills, and public speaking. This is precisely how this online training course is laid out. The knowledge I provide in this training will enable you, amongst other things, to talk your way up the business ladder, become the influential leader people look up to, grow your personal brand and your business, deliver memorable and persuasive presentations, create enriching and long-lasting relationships, and much more. So, what do you say? Are you ready to become a world-class communicator? Join us today using this very special 75% off coupon. Just go to worldclass-communicator.com and enter Jason, all in capital letters, JASON, And I look forward to meeting you very soon.
Well, thank you, Jose, for that lovely audio. And thank you so much for being a sponsor. We appreciate that very, very much. I'm so happy to hear that you can hear that audio. You were able to hear that audio, right? Okay, let's try.
Yep.
Let's try that music again.
We're going to do the music again. Yep. A little interlude.
That's Nicole, guys. But I'm glad that you're able to hear that audio. And I want to say thanks to Girish because he sent me stuff on WhatsApp.
Oh.
Saying that you have to do this, whatever. And I'm like, okay, let me try that.
Thanks, Girish.
Girish, yes, Girish is a close friend of mine, and Leslie also knows. Leslie, why don't you say something? I want to make sure Nicole can hear you.
Over and out. No, can you hear me?
Yeah. Roger that. Roger that.
I don't want to take the show and the stage. I'm here to support both of you listening intently. I did have a quick question for Nicole. Nicole, what prompted you to decide to start your own business? What was the catalyst?
It's such a long story, but I was I had that early nonprofit experience, and then I had always wanted to be a designer, so I left the nonprofit and I was in-house as a designer, and I think it was a couple of things. One, I sort of maxed out my professional development. Two, I felt really constrained and limited. I felt like I had a lot more to give than they had the capacity to receive. And at a certain point, I turned to my husband and I said, if I'm going to work this hard, I may as well work for myself. And that was the moment. I knew I was capable of more, and I wanted to be able to do it. And I didn't feel like the corporate pathways were there in the way that I was looking for them to be. Does that answer the question?
Leslie, we're waiting for you.
I'm waiting for Jason to respond.
To moderate us?
Yeah, to moderate. I don't want to take the moderator stage either.
Oh, no, you're not. So Nicole, Leslie is like a family. She's super cool. So thank you so much, Leslie. I want to actually, I don't know whether you know this. There's something really interesting about Nicole's bio, and she speaks about a library in New York. Okay, it's called as the Science, Industry, and Business Library in NYC. And I know you have this close connection, and you have, a lot. I want to know, could you tell us, most designers are not very inclined to go to a library. You want to sit on a computer and you want to do your research and do that thing. How did you fall in love with a library, and what was this experience all about?
Oh my God. All right. So I didn't expect that question at all. People who know me know that I'm sort of a researcher at heart. So, and I grew up ever since I was a kid, I was always reading, and I'm just one of these people who my background is multidisciplinary. So yeah, I have that visual arts side, but I also have this research, sort of science-minded side. And when I started my first business, or even before that, the science, SIBL, it's the acronym is SIBL, it's SIBL, the Science Industry Business Library in New York City, is totally an untapped resource. All the sort of marketing and research databases you can access there, demographic information, sample business plans. They have workshops and events. I'm very big on doing things on a shoestring, and like a lot of other entrepreneurs, if you're bootstrapping, there is no better place, in my opinion, or it's one of the best places to draw on those resources. And yeah, I love learning. So even as a designer, one of my uh, you can't. I almost feel like even as a designer, you can't know even what you're doing in a way without understanding sort of the socio-cultural, political influences that came before you, right? Like, why is something a visual cue? Well, because you can trace it back to this, that, and the other thing in the past. Um, or why do certain compositions work better than others? So all of that stuff has underlying discipline to it, and I take the same approach for the from the marketing perspective. I'm sure, Leslie, maybe you have the same kind of thing. It's like competitor research, industry research, what's the economic outlook. All these other factors go into your, how you're going to proceed with your business, and they're going to be impacting you whether you look at them or not. So yeah, I love libraries. They're just
And the thing
they're
is,
underrated.
if you look at her picture, she does not look like somebody who goes to a library.
I love oh, if the library ever wants a spokesperson, I love when it's, at the risk of oversharing. When I was 8 years old, I helped the librarian do programs for the younger kids in the library. And we did after school programs for them. We did special events for them to sort of encourage them to learn and read and have fun doing it.
That is super cool. I want to actually ask you another question, okay? And it's about leaving a legacy, okay? And what do you want to be remembered for? Okay, now, if you were to take a moment and just, keep your hand to your heart and ask yourself, what is that one thing, Nicole, you or I, Nicole, want to be remembered for? What is that thing which pops into your mind?
I think it's really just to do good and to be good. So, and doing good is sort of self-evident. Giving back to my family, to my society, my community, whether it's the business community or just the world in general, and doing, and being good, meaning bringing my whole self to my work and my relationships, and performing at the best level I can on any given day. And that doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It's just going to be the best that I can do that day. And yeah, it's simple, but it'll work for me.
Awesome. So Wade is saying that I agree with Nicole completely, and I had a few other comments, especially from Leslie and a few from Girish. Girish was actually complaining. I couldn't hear anything on LinkedIn Live. Thank you so much, Girish, for highlighting it. I appreciate you sending over that setting. So let's actually move ahead, because now it's time for rapid fire questions. Okay, this is where we put a little humor and fun to our conversation. So I have one question which is for everyone who participates on stage. So if you like to just be a part of the rapid fire thing, and if you're on the listening lounge, do not hesitate to raise your hand and come up and be a part of this conversation. So 4 questions for you, Nicole, and 1 question which will be common for everyone, okay? Whoever joins. Question number 1. What is the most unusual place you have ever found inspiration for your work? And the reason I ask you this is because you are a designer, and we kind of weird out, we go like weird places to find stuff, interesting. So I would like to know that, so tell us.
Weirdest place. I find inspiration everywhere. So there's no just one place, and on the marketing and business side too. So for example, I could be working with a B2B brand, and I'll find inspiration from a consumer brand, like a CPG brand, or I tend to see connections everywhere. And it helps. I mean, like a lot of people, a lot of my ideas come in the shower, or when, you're watching some sort of sci-fi TV show and you're like, maybe this would, but yeah, ideas come from everywhere, inspiration everywhere all the time. I had, when I was an undergrad at SUNY Purchase, I had a professor who had us keep a design journal. And I know a lot of design. I keep examples of things, physical examples, digital examples, all kinds of stuff, textures, patterns, poems. There's so many different sources of inspiration. It's a big world, and there's a lot of talented people out there to be inspired by.
Absolutely. I'm with you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I explored Pinterest a lot. Okay, that's one of my favorite tools. Second, Behance. I don't like Dribbble for some reason, but Behance is super cool. And I'm a big fan of typography, posters, a lot of inspiration, like visual elements, how they structure, the whole balancing. I don't know. I'm a big fan of pentagram, designs or agency. I think it's called as agency or pentagram. I don't know. But right? Pentagram, because what they produce is next level, according to me. Okay, but go ahead.
No, I agree with you totally. I think when people are thinking about inspiration, a lot of times they look just within their own industry or field. And a lot of times if you really want to see sort of a meta, right? Get a meta view of things, that's when I find it helps to look outside.
You know what? That's actually a good point. Like, don't be in the constraints of just your industry. Go outside and just see what the market is actually doing. From a marketing standpoint, you're a marketer. I'm very interested in marketing, and I apply it to my business and my clients. So, some certain tactics which apply to a certain industry can also work in another industry too. It can do like a mix match thing, and you can create something unique. I know you want to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking, go ahead.
That's not me.
If you look at if you're looking at marketing and design, let's say, you still have this similarity, right? If you're producing content a lot of the times, and the larger elements, structure, tone, the composition, the format, those sort of structural elements apply equally to your marketing as they can apply to your visual content or design. It's all sort of this holistic piece, if you will, and part of what audiences respond to or people respond to across the spectrum is also similar, right? The continuity or the surprises or the creativity or the connection. And so these really big concepts can apply equally to various fields or disciplines. And for me, I find it helpful to look at it that way, to extrapolate out into the larger concepts and theories, and then bring it back in down to my specific space, and vice versa. Like that conversation between big and zoomed in, right, is that gets my gears going. I don't know about other people, but
whatever works out for you, Nicole,
right.
I'm very happy.
It's like,
Okay, so we have Thomas from Australia and we have Santosh from India who has joined our conversation. So thank you so much, guys. I will be reaching you shortly. I have a few other questions. Okay, tell us, what is one of the funniest thing you have ever seen in New York City?
Me? The funniest thing in New York City? Oh my God, I'm a native New Yorker. I can't even...
Something which gives you giggle and a laugh, whenever you go to New York.
Okay, funniest thing, a woman feeding a squirrel peanuts from her mouth.
Oh, shit.
That's, I have tons of stories, but some of them are like a little bit too, like, not PG-13, so I can't.
Okay. Okay, next question. Okay, now this is something, which you have to think. Okay, so if you were stranded on a deserted island with only one item to combat founder fatigue, what it would be and why?
Oh my God, that's such a hard one. I want to say a good night's sleep, uh, but okay. So I like this app called Focus at Will.
Okay.
So sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit low energy or just sort of having a hard time getting into a task, it's totally auditory. Spotify has something similar where you can just, but I think the Focus at Will ones are scientifically proven or researched to help get your brain waves in a certain zone to help you focus. So kind of like that one.
I actually hear those affirmations which you hear on Spotify. I am rich. I am blessed.
See, I never believed this.
I don't know. Leslie, have you tried this thing? Like, I am
No,
rich.
I haven't. I'm going to have to, though.
You mean all these wonderful affirmations like I love and approve of myself. I will be attracting a lot of money. I will. The power, yes, of what the mind.
I don't know. It's fun. It helps me sleep. So I've been listening to that, going to sleep. It helps, whatever. So next question. What's the most bizarre self ritual you have tried and did it work?
I don't know if it's that bizarre, but a client and friend gave me this rose quartz face roller, and I keep it here on my desk.
We like to see it. Okay, guys, let's
let me see if I can get this open for you.
take your
It's a
time.
magnetic box. Here you go. Okay. Here we go.
I just got one. You'll have to let me know how
Here
it
it
goes.
is.
Okay, open it. Can you show us how do you use it?
Okay, how do you use it? You're supposed to put a little bit of essential oil on it, but this is how you use it. And it helps relax. It helps relax. If you get a lot of tense, especially if you're at the computer a lot, you get a lot of pain or tension in your jaw, your neck. So yeah, this thing is great.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, shout out to the individual whoever gifted Nicole that. Thank you.
That is Kristen Cowick of Zen Lab Yoga. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen. That is super cool. It looks like a razor blade thing,
It does. There's actually two pieces.
Is that a crystal at the top?
Here's I don't know, but here are the instructions that show you how to run it over your face. And they also give you this little one if you want to really get in there with just
have your jawlines.
Don't want to use yeah, exactly. So
Awesome. Okay, now so this will be a common question for everyone. Okay, now if you could only use one emoji to market a product or a service, which one would you choose and why? Okay, I'm gonna start off with Leslie. Okay, so Leslie, think about it. An emoji. Okay, one emoji which you can use to market the heck out.
Well, that's a no-brainer because actually my emojis are the heart, the universe, the world, a dove, and then the prayer of the hands, like peace. So mine would be probably the world because I promote and try to empower people about the environment and how there's changes in the world and how we need to support ourselves to get through this new world that we're in. So it's definitely the world. Would that be an emoji? Or you mean like a face?
I think it's an emoji.
Is that, I don't know. I'm like, well, that's the first thing I could think of. So I don't know. I'm not that up on all this. But yeah, I would say it was planet Earth.
Yeah, as long as it shows up under the emoji column, I think it should be okay. So, so thank you so much for sharing it. So the world for Nicole, I'm writing it down. World for, so not Nicole, but Leslie. And let's actually hear from Thomas. Thomas, how are you, my friend?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. So would you like me to rephrase that question or did you get that?
No, I got that.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
my emoji that first comes to mind is the crazy face, sideways, funny emoji.
Okay, tell us why.
The reason is because if you don't have a sense of humour, if you don't laugh at things, you end up crying, and I don't want to cry for the rest of my life. So I want to laugh at the irony of so many crazy things that have been happening to me over the last 59 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is lovely. Do you guys know that there is actually like a Wikipedia just for emojis? It's called as emojipedia.org, which has all the names for all the emojis which are out there. I'm going to leave that on the show description just in case if you want to explore around. Okay, let's actually hear from Santosh. Santosh, thank you so much for your patience. I know it's pretty late here in India. It's about to be 12 a.m. So, how are you? And please unmute if you're available.
Hey Jason, it's great to listen and to attend the session, especially the couple of sessions I attended you. And yeah, it's a great conversation, and I had a great discussion with the listening discussion from the Thomas, Nicole, Lisa Lee, and Thomas, and uh, and as we are discussing on the emoji, right? So I feel the emojis are the expressions when we are going to react it instead of putting it in word or in sentence, so that we can I can express it in emojis, so which can express it should express in the direct way or correct way to the another person, and that the other person should be more comfortable, and whatever he or she speaking or saying something about important thing. Yeah, that's all what about I feel about emojis, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I was just wondering if you could choose one. I don't know if you specified that. Which one would you choose? Like one thing you feel is very closely connected to you?
I feel
Or maybe I will make it simple. What's your favorite
most
emoji?
just keep it a smiling face. That's it. That's cool, and keep it a peace of mind, and just show the impression to the ki- the face, the smiling face. That's the emojis I like it first of all.
Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much. Let's
That's
actually
it. Thank.
hear from our guest, Nicole. What's your emoji which you're gonna use to market the hell out of everything?
I use the smiley face one all the time. So but I use the smiley face with the red cheeks. Um, and I also like the huggy emoji because I'm a big hugger.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, people get a lot of virtual hugs from me.
Interesting. I'm really surprised that nobody likes unicorn and nobody likes radios and TVs and aliens. I'm really surprised. but thank you so much, guys, for sharing this. Okay, now let's actually move to the business side of things, because I want to really give you the advantage because you have a really cool company, okay, and you do really cool work and you have worked with tons and tons of people. I have watched most of your videos which you have done like Zoom with some of your clients and people whom you were trying to educate as designers. So a lot of wealth of knowledge which you have shared. So what I really want to understand is the vision of Mavyn as a company. Where do you want to take this ahead? What kind of direction do you think will best suit your business and your company? Let's say 5 to 10 years down the line. What kind of future would you like to create for Mavyn?
That's a great question. And it's funny because it's changed a little bit along the way. I think near term, I want to keep building on a portfolio of helping mission-driven founders succeed, and especially around health and wellness and digital innovation. That there's a huge degree of satisfaction in just helping those female founders, bring their businesses to market and take those next steps. And then long term, I see Mavyn potentially as a platform or a place for incubation and accelerating women in business. So yeah,
That is very
but we'll
powerful.
see. That's ambitious, so we'll see what happens.
So the thing which I really like about vision is that many people think that it has to be hardcore, like you have to really stick. As human beings, you keep evolving, and as you evolve and as you get new information to process, your vision can also improve. It can be better, or it can be something else. Many entrepreneurs have a feeling that you have to stick to it. You stick to it as long as it's serving you. Don't stick to it if it's not serving. That's just my thought. I could be wrong. But at this moment, see, when I started my agency, I'm just a one-man person who does everything. Okay, I don't have employees or staff purely because I just want to keep it close and very private. So when I started doing that, I thought this is it. This is what I'm gonna be known for. But a year, 2 to 3 years down the line, now I'm strategically moving to podcasting and public speaking and those kind of realm. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I didn't mean to put my thing while you were sharing this, but just wanted to share that. So let's actually, let me ask you, do you have like any sort of events, speaking engagements, or any kind of promotions which are happening, which you like to promote on my show?
Thank you so much. I don't have anything specific, but anyone is welcome to take advantage of a free consultation. They can just go to my website and book it. It's a free 30-minute consultation. And people tell me that they're amazed with how much we get done in 30 minutes. So even if we don't end up working together, we can connect. You can get some ideas for your business, whether it's a challenge you're facing or just something you want to talk through. And leave with some good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Nicole. Actually, that's a great thing. And would you mind to send the website if you don't mind?
Yeah, I was about to
Sure.
come to that. So the name of the
Yeah.
website is Hello, HELLO, Mavyn, MAV for Victor, Y for Yankee, N for November.com. HelloMavyn.com. If you are a part of the people who accepted the invitation to my original request, it's all listed under the show notes and show description. The link to the website, hellomavyn.com. And if you want to specifically go ahead with the offer Nicole spoke about, is hellomavyn.com/booking. No plural, there's no S, just booking. You should be able to see this option for a free consultation. Now remember, guys, we all
All
run
right, Jason.
businesses,
Thank you.
and the we want to put in effort. We want to give back to people. At the same time, we want to be respectful to each other's time. So if you are reaching out to Nicole, feel free to take advantage of some of her advice, and please reach out to her for more professional assistance. And I'm sure you should be blown away what she has to offer. I had a few conversations with her. I'm really, really impressed. I know that I have another designer and a marketer, I can look up to and learn from. So this is super cool. I'm just saying. So on that note, I want to give you the opportunity, just, handing you the microphone, Nicole, again. If there is one thing you want people to take away from this conversation, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good question. Don't be afraid to pursue your dream. Just take the first step and see where it goes. And it's never too late to start whatever it is you want to work on.
Absolutely. Wade was just asking, are you only working with entrepreneurs who are women, or are they men also?
There are men also. I focus on women, but men are always welcome. And in fact, a lot of the clients I work with are husband and wife teams or co-founders. There's multiple co-founders. So everyone is welcome.
Awesome. Awesome. So, this has been a fantastic interview because, we started off rough. We had a few technical limitations. One of those days, things doesn't really work out the way you anticipate it to be. We lost audio for a while too, and I'm glad we fixed it. So just in case, Nicole, I don't think I have the option of editing something which is already streamed. Okay, but I will upload like an audio version of this on YouTube, which you can share with all your loved ones, and even podcast links with you shortly. I'll see if I can edit it. If not, I'm so sorry. We just have to roll with what we have.
That's okay.
Okay, but I had such a lovely conversation. I want to quickly give you guys a heads up on what's going to happen next week. So season 3, episode 20, I think that will be my 82nd live podcast. The art of taking risk, or mastering the art of taking risk, because entrepreneurship often requires you to take bold steps, and you need to operate with courage. But what happens when you have already achieved a certain level of success? It can be intimidating for someone to continue taking the same amount of risk repeatedly. So I have Kimberly. She's really cool. She has a very interesting story. Kimberly Spencer. I have the event already listed on my, on my featured section. I think that's what you call it on LinkedIn, right? Go on my profile. If you scroll down, there's something called as featured, which will have big flyers, and you should be able to find the event details there. Another thing which I want to let you know is that event is January 25th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I would be live streaming on LinkedIn Audio, Clubhouse, and even Twitter Spaces. It's just going to be audio only. And if you remember in the beginning, I shared this current season 3 is going to come to an end on March 1st, 2023. Okay, we have a few other guests who has been aligned. Some of them are really cool. I have actually a guest who is well known to have like a business along with his dog. And they do a lot of charity and philanthropic work. I think that's on Feb 1st. Don't miss that also. I should have the flyers and all updated shortly. So, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you each and every one, for supporting us and being here. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Leslie. And thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Divakar sir. Thank you, Girish, Wade, and everybody else who is watching and listening, even the pre-recorded version. Everyone on Spotify, high five to you. Thank you so much. You take care of yourself. And Nicole, be on stage because once this stream is ended, we will have a conversation, So thank you so much. You take care of yourself. Have a lovely morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Take care of yourself, guys.
Thank you, everyone.